I got the same explanation this week from White House Press Secretary Jay Carney. He was reacting there to a question from John Karl of ABC News after reports that the DOJ targeted our own James Rosen, telling a federal judge, in order to get a search warrant for all of James's records, that James was part of a criminal conspiracy. They had to say that because they wanted to go into court without telling us, without telling James, so they could have no opposing counsel and convince a judge to let them read his emails, including personal emails, track his movements, all in an effort to find a leaker who they thought they already had, and they had that leaker's records, but they wanted to see James's as well. Moments ago, the executive vice president for news here at the Fox News Channel, Michael Clementi, issued a statement. It reads as follows: "We are outraged to learn today that James Rosen was named a criminal co-conspirator for simply doing his job as a reporter. In fact, it is downright chilling. We will unequivocally defend his right to operate as a member of what, up until now, has always been a free press." Karl Rove is a former senior advisor and deputy chief of staff to President George W. Bush, also Fox News contributor. Karl, your reaction to this breaking news?
Deeply troubling. Look, every American has sympathy for the release of confidential secret information of the government. But I thought there was a fellow who spoke to this question last week under oath in front of Congress who put it right. He said the focus should be on those people who break their oath and put the American people at risk, not on reporters who gather this information. That should not be the focus of these investigations. That was Attorney General Holder speaking before a House committee in response to a question by Congressman Hank Johnson of Georgia. And look, we had to confront this question during the Bush administration. There were leaks of classified information, and in each and every instance, the focus was on the potential leak, not the reporter who received it. Can you imagine what would have happened if the New York Times, which was the recipient of a number of those confidential leaks, if the Bush administration had asked for the phone records, secretly asked for the phone records of up to 100 of the editors and reporters at the New York Times? Can you imagine what would happen if the Bush administration had gone into court and filed a subpoena for secret collection of information alleging that a reporter for the New York Times was part of a criminal conspiracy? We know exactly what would be happening today. Look, the focus ought to be on the people who do the leaking. The press is supposed to try and collect information, report it. That's their job under the First Amendment. And this is really, really chilling.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, everybody remembers the Valerie Plame incident, and Scooter Libby went to jail for that leak, and President Bush refused to pardon him.
Well, he didn't. Not for that leak.
Well,
the leak
not
was
for the
made
leak,
by
but
Richard
for allegedly lying about it.
Secretary of State.
But listen, let me just make my point. Let me just make my point.
Not who violated the law. There was no violation. There was no
I got you. I don't want to get too bogged down in the case, Carl. I just wanted to refresh
shared.
people's memory, because he got questioned about it and he was accused of lying to the federal investigators who were investigating it. But the point is, the Bush administration members of it were accused of leaking to the New York Times, including our own now Fox News contributor Judy Miller, information about this woman's identity. You were involved in that as well. But Judy Miller went to jail because she refused to disclose her source. In covering that case, I never remember a sideshow about the Bush administration secretly subpoenaing her phone records and her emails and getting search warrants without giving notice to her counsel for her to object, so that they could just get to the bottom of the information whether she wanted them to or not.
Well, in fact, to go one step further, Megan, it was my experience, and I think it was the experience of anybody else who was asked in the Bush administration. We all signed affidavits that said, if you are a reporter who had a conversation with me about this, there is no presumption of confidentiality on my part. You can disclose any conversation, any communication, any email, any discussion between us about this issue without violating your journalistic ethics. Now, look, there's one other thing, though, that I want to go back to this, because this makes it the current effort even more chilling. Last week, in that testimony, under oath, the Attorney General said, quote, "With regard to potential prosecution of the press for the disclosure of material, that is something that I have never been involved in, heard of, or would think would be wise policy," end quote. Now, the reason this is troubling to me is we do know that he said that he recused himself from the AP, but he did not say that he recused himself from the James Rosen incident. And this subpoena asked for by the FBI under Department of Justice guidelines could not have been requested without the approval of the Attorney General, or if he does recuse himself, the Deputy Attorney General.
Right. So what did he know about that?
Stand by, because
we got a hard break coming up in 5 seconds, so I want to pick it up with you.